Hello everyone, I simply needed to make this video because I need to get this out of my system. So on Sunday I've met with my friends and we decided to watch Disney's Wish, and it was an amazing success because I don't think I've ever seen a movie or animated feature that made me cringe throughout, and I was definitely not alone in my opinion. It's very popular to hate on this movie, and for very good reasons. So it's not very good reason, it's very good reasons. This is a movie that fulfills no wishes. Well, it fulfills the wish of having a, standard irredeemable villain, and that's about it. It's all downhill from there, and there was never an uphill. It's just the lowest point in the universe, and even then it's downhill from there. So I will assume that you have seen the movie or have watched it, or you're aware of the plot. I want to say spoilers ahead, but this is so simplistic. I mean, there's really no point in no spoilers like zone, because it won't really spoil the plot if you know all about it. So I will simply, jump right into it with the, bashing the movie. So first of all, the characters. The main character, the protagonist, is Asha. She's adorable, she lacks any discernible personality as opposed to some other characters, for example, The Little Mermaid, Belle, Alice, whoever. She's just, awkward and adorable, but she wants to do the right thing. I honestly don't think this is a major problem, because sometimes maybe the protagonist is not really the focus of the movie, and it's not really bad if they're generally a good person trying to do well. However, because of all of the other issues, it causes problems. Of course, being a typical Disney film, she has to lack a parent, in this case a father. However, she still has two parental figures, because she has her grandfather, who I think his title is Sabino or Sabo, and they're sort of trying very low-key to insert this new language, which honestly feels very redundant and unnecessary, and I just remembered about it, and I'm getting progressively more annoyed about it. So what other characters do we have? We have her 7 friends, who are a very poor reference to the Seven Dwarfs, and they're generally sort of annoying or lacking discernible personality, or are one-trick pony. Oh, her entire personality is that she's a best friend. His entire personality is that he's, slow, because they're sort of reference to the Seven Dwarfs and their respective personalities. However, that's the thing. In Snow White, you had Snow White, the Evil Queen, and the Seven Dwarfs. That's about all of the characters. You can actually add the Hunter and the Mirror, but that's about it. Here, there's all of the other characters, so you don't really get to have these characters shine. And they're generally very, annoying and so on. Then we have the villains. The villain, I'm sorry, because there's the queen, and of course she's kind, benevolent queen. That's her entire thing. She's completely bland. We have the villain, who is... I like that he is a classical sort of villain. He fulfills wishes, but actually hoards them in order to better protect people. But his pride and the megalomania gets better of him, and this is portrayed very poorly in the movie, because the switch is so sudden, out of nowhere, unnecessary. He gets sort of worried that people are about to rebel, but it's really weakly portrayed. It's basically horribly bad. Yeah. The music is very bad throughout. The melodies tend to be at least okay or passable. However, the lyrics are absolutely atrocious. By the way, for every aspect that I bash here, there are I think like 20 dedicated videos to individual characters, to individual songs, and they describe this in so many details, and they're really a joy to watch if you've decided to waste an hour and a half of your life. For example, one of the major criticisms about the songs is they actually don't rhyme, and I'm going to from the villain song. It literally goes, though to this book I don't want to be tethered, but desperate times require desperate measures. Tethered measures. I'm not a native English speaker. I know that these words don't rhyme, and it's all. There's only one song that I thought was relatively really catchy, and what's it called? Knowing What I Know Now, where they plan to rebel against King Magnifico without an actual plan. You're going against a sorcerer. What is your plan? What is your strategy? No, they just plan to rebel and probably perish in the process. And if there wasn't like Deus Ex Machina at the very end of the movie, they would have failed. I want to rant a little bit about the villain song, which is This Is the Thanks I Get, which is, you know, it has this melody which I am not particularly fan of, but however, it is a stylistic choice, so technically not anything against it, just not my taste. However, near the end of the song, Magnifico gives in to this temptation to look into this evil spellbook, and you know, this was supposed to be this major point where his last shreds of humanity fail him. However, it all sorts of happens in the background, and in these villain songs, usually if there's an incantation, it is the pinnacle of the song. We have that in Poor Unfortunate Souls, we have that in The Dark of the Night when Rasputin calls all of these demons from his reliquary. Here, it's done, and the tone of the song gets much darker, and then after he like calls the energy from the spellbook, it's again melody, even though the visuals are very much darker, and he starts stomping on all of these images of his citizens. Like, you know, shouldn't the tone, the sound of the song get darker? No, they just snap it. The writing's, of course, atrocious. A lot of times they use these phrases that stick out like a sore thumb. At one point, one of the characters, so this happens approximately like medieval times. One of the characters says, "I'm an introvert," and during the song, Magnifico song, "You're a prob." It's really it's horrible. A lot of people have mentioned that actually Magnifico's motivations are much more noble than Asha's, because Asha's are like, let's fulfill everyone's wishes. And a lot of people have rightly claimed that this is a huge problem. Why? Because some people may have bad wishes. However, I would also like to add that a lot of people can have contradictory wishes. I might wish for a girl to fall in love with me, while she might wish for a different guy to fall in love with her. So now we have that guy who's utterly heartbroken. You know, this isn't really discussed at length. A lot of people everybody's shown to have very basic, nice wishes, the ability to fly, to sew perfect dresses, and that's all very nice and cute. However, you know, the wishing system and related issues aren't really described. There was something else I wanted to mention about. However, how could we fix the wish? I think they could have made a much more classical movie, and it would have been much better. You could have made Magnifico evil from the get-go, and you could have elaborated on the wish system in this way. The wish orbs that Magnifico receives increase his power incrementally. He can devour them, and that can grant him this power surge. However, that is only temporary, so he wants to hoard them. However, the power of all the unfulfilled wishes draws the star from the sky. the star starts actually fulfilling these wishes, which causes these orbs to pop. And Magnifico, in his desperate bid to keep his wishes, actually, he starts devouring them. So everybody goes on this full frontal assault. And because everybody wants their wishes to be fulfilled, and having an actual star there, their wish to defeat Magnifico gets fulfilled. Similar to the ending, however, in the ending, they sort of simply defeat him out of nowhere, which is silly. It's sort of the power of friendship, power of wishing, but I mean, Ursula wasn't defeated like that, Jafar wasn't defeated like that, that boring guy from Pocahontas wasn't defeated like that. It's really out of nowhere, out of left field, and this again plays in with what I mentioned earlier. Like, he wouldn't have... they had no plan how to defeat him, one of the bigger issues in the movie are all the member berries. They were bending over backwards to include so many references, and a lot of times they're generally in the background, or like a background event, an Easter egg. However, a lot of times they're problematic, with a Q in French, problématique, because for example, the inclusion of 7 friends with 2 parental figures, 2 side characters, the star and the goat. Oh, I forgot to mention the goat. The goat was not a single funny joke, annoying voice. I mean, it's cartoony enough, but it doesn't work. I kept saying throughout the movie, my wish is that they would roast the goat already. In a better version of the movie, the goat would simply be, omitted. We already have a cute sidekick, which is a star, and in the same way, the animators of old would only draw characters with 4 fingers in order to, improve the flow. That is why this would only serve. That is why this movie would work much better with lesser amount of Asha's friends, with only 1 parental figure, and so on and so forth. The biggest thing how to improve the movie is do not make a movie by a comedy. Make a good movie. Focus on the story. Do not make checklists. Do we have a wish? Do we have all the member berries? Do we have all the disabilities and races and orientations included? No, focus first on the story, and if something else works well within the story, utilize it. Don't go by checklists. This is the death sentence of so many of these, IPs, that it's simply a shame. It's simply a shame, and this was a very poor movie, and it wasn't. The saddest part is it wasn't even particularly fun to hate watch. It's very indicative that when the songs began, my friends and myself included started to chatter because the songs were, depending on the song, jarring to very jarring. I think that probably the 2 worst offenders are the first song, where they sort of introduce the setting, but show, don't tell. They were really trying to, tell it. And the, animal song. Oh, by the way, when I mentioned problematic, it sort of turns out that Asha is the fairy godmother of Cinderella, and Asha's black, and the fairy godmother from the Cinderella is white. So I truly hope they're not trying to imply that Asha Michael Jackson herself at one point in her life, because that would just be plain sad. That's about it. I don't have any particular Christian commentary on this, because it is a fairy tale that was failed by a comedy, and I'm sad that us who have good memories of what Disney used to be simply lost, because they are at this point physically incapable of making a movie that's trying to not trying to make a point of love yourself who you are and wish upon a star and all wishes are equal. No, they're not. I mean, and so on. It was simply a poorly thought out, rushed, and probably a generated movie. Watch it for the hate. Bye.